In this video, we're going to look at the top 5 most common questions that Hilton asks in their interviews, and I'm going to help you plan fantastic answers that will get you a job working at Hilton. So let's start with a question that Hilton always likes to ask, which is a question around what shifts would you be able to work at Hilton? So you're going for a job and they really want to know what times you're able to work. And this is an absolute make or break question. If you answer this badly, you will not be likely to get a job. And the way that people screw this question up is they immediately go into all the times that they can't work. And if you do that, you're just creating problems for the manager interviewing you, and they're going to give the job to someone else. So in order to actually be successful, you're going to have to do 3 things. Firstly, you're going to show lots of flexibility. So you're going to say things like, I can work this time or this time. And I do try and rearrange my life and make sure that I am available at the times that you need, and I can be super flexible. You then need to show some commitment to Hilton. And the way that you don't go about doing this is listing all the times you can't work. It makes you seem like you're not very serious about the job. So show that you're committed to Hilton by showing that you can do lots of different times. And fundamentally, you're trying to satisfy Hilton's needs to show that you're going to be there at the times that they need people to staff. And so the things that managers really like to hear, they like to hear that you can work overnight, that you're happy to work weekends. If you can work school holidays, definitely bring that up. Likewise, Christmas and New Year. If you're happy with those times, definitely bring them up. If you're not happy with those times, don't mention it, and the chances are they won't bring it up and you'll get away with it. So do not mention any times you can't do. If you're happy to work in evenings, or if you can work very, very early in the morning, so you like getting up early and just getting your work out of the way, then definitely say that. So any of these times look really good because they're slightly harder to staff. And the key to success on this question is to absolutely focus on what you can do and just don't really go into what you can't do. So let's go on to the next question. How would you manage an upset and angry guest? And lots of people go into big, long stories and waffle rubbish on this. That's just a waste of time. There is a simple and clear procedure that if you talk about, it shows that you know what you're doing. So the first word you're going to use in your answer is the word de-escalation. If you get in that word, they're immediately going, hang on, this is someone that knows what they're talking about. So de-escalation means that you're going to calm down the situation, get everything under control, and be leading that conversation. And one thing that you can often do is you're wanting to move the guest away from disrupting the major functions of the hotel. So if they're in the lobby kicking off, you perhaps want to take them to one side and sit them down, have a quiet conversation where it's not being so disruptive. You're then going to show that you're listening, because usually when people are angry, they often just want someone to be listening to them. So if you're showing that you're actively listening to everything that they're saying, that goes a long way to calming them down. You're then going to show that you're going to be addressing it proactively. So you're looking at what the problem is and you're always looking for solutions. So you've got a solutions mindset. And the last thing you say when you're answering this question is that the fundamental thing you're trying to achieve is a successful resolution. So you're going to identify the issues that they've got, and you're going to come to a satisfactory resolution that's in line with the company's policies, that leaves that guest having a positive experience in spite of anything that has went wrong. So if you get those 4 ideas in, you'll do really well in this question. Let's go to the next one. What do you know about Hilton? And to be successful in this, you need to get as far out in that diagram as possible. So you have to have the obvious things that everyone knows about Hilton. So things like you've got Conrad Hilton was the founder, you've got Paris Hilton and the Hilton family. That's a great start, but it's not going to impress them. To be impressive, you need to have really done your research and know some things that only very few people know. You can look into the Hilton Foundation, that is a big charitable organization that has that got a lot of the stock in Hilton originally when Conrad Hilton died. You can talk about its founding in 1919, so know some key facts. The first hotels, what were they called? When were they franchised as Hilton, or rather named Hilton? So the first hotel wasn't a Hilton hotel in 1919, but in 1925, that's when you got the first Hilton hotel. You can talk about that it was previously owned by Blackstone, which is a private equity company. It's a global brand. Make sure you know all about Hilton Honors. So what are all the different levels and what are the benefits of that? And then you've got lots of different brands within Hilton. Hilton isn't just one brand. For example, there's Doubletree, and you're going to know some names of those. And you're also going to be aware of the fact that some of the hotels are company owned, not very many, and a lot of them are franchised. And so you're going to know that your hotel is one of those, and make sure you know which one it is, because a franchised hotel and a corporate owned hotel are very different. So you might be applying to work for Hilton, or you might actually be working for a different company that owns the hotel but has Hilton in as a management company. So you need to know exactly what's going on there. My top tip is to read Hilton Worldwide Holdings Inc. Form 10K. If you don't know what that means, just type that in and you will get the annual report of the company with more information than you could possibly imagine. If you just read that and pick out a few facts from that, you will be massively impressing your interviewer. Let's move on to question 4. What would you do if you saw a member of staff stealing? This is not a difficult question if you are very clear on certain points. The first thing you immediately say on this is that it is absolutely not acceptable. You have to show that you take a moral stance on that, because if you hesitate on that and you're not very strong and clear on that being like horrific and absolutely wrong, that causes a little bit of suspicion in the interviewer's mind. You're then going to challenge that. You're not going to allow anyone to steal from guests or steal from other members of staff. You're not going to sit by and just let that happen. And the last thing you're going to be clear on is that you're going to report it, or if you're a manager, you're going to follow the company's procedures to sanction, which may include the termination of the employee in accordance with company policies. And the other thing you're going to make clear is that you don't believe in second chances on this, that someone will tell you that this is the only time that they've ever stolen and they'll never do it again. But when you think about it, that's unlikely. What are the chances of the fact that someone has stolen and the only time they've ever done it in their life is when you happen to be looking? That's very unlikely. They've probably done it before. And now that you've seen someone steal, you know that they're dishonest, so they're going to do it again because they're a dishonest person. So don't do this second chances, and don't believe it's the first time that it ever happened. It's extremely unlikely. It's a load of nonsense. So be really strong, harsh, and confident on this question. Don't give any leeway. It's just not on. It's not acceptable. Be clear on that, and they'll be satisfied with your answer. Last question: where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? And you've got to be careful on this one. You can start with something that's realistic. So generally one level above where you are is a realistic answer. Be sensitive to your interviewer. If you're being interviewed by the general manager, don't say you're going to be the general manager, because, there is only one of those jobs. Be conscious of the fact that if you're saying you're going to be one level above the person interviewing you, that doesn't go down very well. And focus on what Hilton has to offer. So look at the jobs within Hilton. So if, say, you're applying for a cleaning job, you could look at cleaning supervisor job. If you're looking at a job where you're working on the reception, you can look at who's in charge of the reception and look at that as a 5-year potential goal. The worst things you can say is if you mention quitting Hilton, your interview is pretty much over. What's the point of employing people that don't want to be here? And if you show any sort of lack of thought where you've just not really got a plan, or you don't know where you want to be in 5 years, that's a terrible answer. If you're stuck on it and you're not really interested in moving up, that's fine. Talk about how you're going to be outstanding in your current role, that you would like to stay in your current role, but you would look to mentor new members of staff and be someone that has a reputation for being extremely good in their particular area. And if you say anything that's not relevant to Hilton, you might as well not bother. They don't care about it being close to your work, and so you want to just stay here because it's local and convenient. They're not interested in that. They want to know what you're going to do for the company and how you're going to be really amazing at your job in 5 years' time. So stick to that and you'll be successful in this. So as a bonus, I've got some questions that are really good to ask. So at the end of your interview, pick a couple of these and ask a few of them. One of the ones that I would really suggest is quite good is to ask, what does an outstanding Hilton employee look like? This is your cheeky opportunity at the end to remind them that actually you match exactly what they're looking for. And the last thing to be very clear about is make sure that you ask one question that relates to something that goes on within the interview. So it's a two-way conversation. Show that you're listening. So while the interview is going on, just be listening and think, actually, I wonder about that thing that he said or she said, and just ask about it at the end. If you don't have any questions, that's a disaster. You must have questions planned. Otherwise, it's a massive negative. So hopefully this video has been helpful to you. Best of luck in your Hilton interview, and thank you very much for watching.